Good evening, everybody. So here we go. Welcome to the Connection Show. This is a show where I invite all my readers, my wonderful guests, to come back and to share their thoughts, their takeaways from the book. It is amazing when many people buy books, but then we get too busy, we haven't got time to read it. And it just touched my heart when I see people take actions and manifest things, and it's just amazing. And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody gets to come back and share with us the actions they've taken? And that's what it's inspired the show, because at this point in time, we want to share more joy, more positivity, more hope, and that's what's inspired the show. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Dr. Nelson Bulmash.
You're welcome, Linda. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much. All the way from Atlanta, and I'm in Sydney. Georgia. Yes, thank you so much. Such an honor to have you on the show.
It's so funny. I had to wake up very early, and you are up very late.
Very late, yes. For me, it's 10:30 p.m. and for you, it's 8:30 a.m.
It is. So, I got up a number of hours ago, so I'm a little bit of a sleepyhead. But as I engage you, I'm going to wake up and we'll have an amazing show.
Thank you so much for doing this. We really are on the opposite timing, but it's so amazing that we can connect like this, isn't it?
Incredible, absolutely incredible.
So amazing, and I just loved it when I heard that you read my book. This is my book, Connection, yes. The Currency to Happiness. Oh, there we go. Oh, we have to do a screenshot of this.
I've read it multiple times. Absolutely. Here, how's this?
So yes, I did that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it just touched my heart when you said that you read it all in one go in three sittings. Actually, you said yes, because it's quite a big book. It's a good over 400 pages book, and that says something about commitment, dedication, and intention, right? You know, you really put the focus and intention to really trying to get the message out of it, and that's what I appreciate. And it's really precious to me. That's really precious because sometimes we might buy books. I do too. I still have a stack of books. Sometimes we might buy books, but we don't get to read it. Or sometimes we might read it, but our mind's somewhere else and we're not able to engage. So when I heard that, it really, really touched my heart. And I feel so excited. And just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're very, very welcome, Linda. It's such a pleasure.
I wondered if you'd like to start sharing what got you so engaged in the book, like what got you to wanting to read it all in three sittings.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question, Linda. There are a number of things, and I'll go through as many as we have time for. I heard and it's funny, I'm a person who remembers principles. I don't necessarily remember data. And some years ago, I was hearing a very, very well-known author speak. And he said, I do a great deal of reading. And it's one of the things that helped. Said that he does a lot of reading to inform him, to educate him, and for him to learn and grow. And every time he reads a book, he has one singular goal, and that is to make sure that he learns something that is really valuable, potentially even professionally or life-changing. And I thought, I do the same thing. Every time I read a book, I make sure that if I put my hand on that book, if I look at the cover of that book, Linda, that there's something that jumps out at me. And the thing that really jumped out about your book, the number one thing was the title reads, Connection, the Currency to Happiness. Linda, when I read that title, Connection is the Currency to Happiness, I just, like a light went on. I went, my God, that's so true. The greater the connection, the greater the happiness. The more we can collaborate, the more we can come from, hey, let's be in the space of learning, growing, and exchange. Our connection leads to happiness. It leads to joy. It leads to growth. It leads to opportunities. Right now, we're taking an opportunity to share time together, to share love together, to share insights together. And at some point, you're going to air this, and people are going to listen to us talk. And in our exchange, they're going to hear things that are going to inspire them to read your book, this book, Happiness, The Connection to Currency. And so that profoundly touched me. The idea of that the more I connect, the happier I get, the more powerful the embrace, the more powerful the connection, the greater the intimacy, the greater the ability to grow, love, and transform my life and the lives of those people that I interact with. So that was the number one, excuse me, if you will, selling point of your book. However, there are so many other things that I love. For example, here's your book in my hand. I'm going to show you how I use this book now. Now, you're correct. I sat down and I read this book in 3 sittings. Now, what you have to understand about me, I'm a very busy man. I know a lot of us are busy, but I have a waiting list practice here in the United States. I see a lot of amazing people, and people come from all over the country to see me. So I work long hours. I often don't even get home until 8:30 at night, and sometimes later. So for me to then eat dinner and then read your 400-page book in 3 sittings meant I came home 3 nights and I read after dinner, which was probably, 9, 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And then I went to bed at probably, 12, 12:30 a.m. So in 3 of those, I read your whole book. It was captivating to me. And here's why. Here's your book. I'm just going to open it up and we're going to come to a page. And this is why once you've read this, and I strongly, Linda, recommend that people read the entirety of the book, although you don't have to. And here's why. Often the way life works is something happens and then we look for answers. Your book is a book I always have on my desk at work because I can open it up and here's an example of what happens. Here I'm at chapter 1 and it reads The Quest for Happiness. The feeling of achieving happiness is too far a stretch if we keep depending on material things, other people, or certain events in life. As long as we wait for happiness to come externally, keyword, it never will. Happiness is an inside job. So in other words, Linda, sometimes we just have to be reminded that, you know what? Yes, it's nice to get a new car. Yes, it's nice to meet a friend. Yes, it's nice to see a fun movie or have a great meal. But ultimately, we're responsible for creating our own happiness. Happiness begins as an inside job, not as external events or material gain that lead to happiness.
Wow. I want to say thank you so much for setting such a great intention. That doctor who's shown the example and you again, action taker, you embrace that and you set such great intention because, many people could come across the book and many might have opened it, many might not, but the way you share
Right.
how you approached it, how you set the intention is just amazing.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, it's just so amazing. And so you would put it at the desk and you would just flip it open whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, because sometimes, Linda, these are very complex times. For example, I had a lot of people ask me, we're going through tough times around the world. Everybody's stretched with the notion of, am I going to get the COVID-19 virus? If I do, am I going to be okay? Am I going to live? Then there are other people, friends of mine who own businesses, Linda, and they're maybe not even worried about that. They're healthy, they're strong. Their position is, I'm bleeding out. I can't go endlessly because everything is shut down here in the state of Georgia and throughout the United States. So it's a very critical time in our history in many ways. And you can look at this time, Linda, as a time of divisiveness, a time of separation, a time of me versus them. And what I mean by that is when all of this began several weeks ago, you had people that went to the store. For example, a friend of mine sent me a story about a guy that purchased 150 packages of 32 rolls of toilet paper, one person. 150 he purchased initially, 150 packages of 32 rolls of toilet paper. I'm not sure if he'll use that up in his lifetime, right? So people like me, Linda, couldn't find toilet paper for a week, right?
Dear.
And very, very interesting because here in Atlanta in the Asian community, this never happened. I had friends that said, Nelson, go into the Asian communities. They have a whole different mindset. And so in the Asian communities, you go to their stores, and they're about collaboration. They're about cooperation. Everyone took only what they immediately needed. I was astounded by that. So once again, you have so many lessons in your book here.
Mm.
What I did was I opened your book and I came to, and I don't even know if I can find it, but here, for example, here you have here, a hero does not cry, but is not afraid to cry. On the next page, it reads, self-connection is what cultivates the path to self-fulfillment and self-love. So I didn't panic. I thought, my God, what am I going to do? I don't have toilet paper for my family. Well, so I just said, okay, number one, I trust in myself. I trust in the process. Somehow I'll find it. And eventually, of course, I did. I'm not going to be somebody who hoards all the toilet paper. I had a relative that bragged about how she went to a store and bought all the baby aspirin at a pharmacy and was very proud of that. Like her kids would not have to worry about headaches. And she bought 24 bottles of aspirin. See, these are the kinds of things that separate us. These are the kinds of things that keep us separate from each other. Your book is all about how can you achieve inner happiness? How can you serve humanity so that you can be a better person? In being a better person, the world gets to be better. And so, you know, when I go through these troubled times where things appear so divisive, I put up a message yesterday, and it was inspired out of reading a passage in your book. And you can read it on my timeline on Facebook. It's getting a lot of comments and compliments where people say, wow, here's actually a person who's balanced. Here's a person who's looking at a complex situation and is actually pragmatic. He makes sense. And so, you know, you preach such a message of let it come from the inside out, and you give wonderful tips and ways that you can focus on self-cultivation that leads to you being of service to yourself and of service to humanity. And when you're in a place of love, when you're in a place of intimate connection, you don't think about hoarding. You don't think about it's all about me and my family. You think about what can I do to make these troubled times easier. And so, you know, I read a part of your book, and then I put up that post that you'll read later today, and I think you'll really like it because it's inspired by collaboration and cooperation. And that's one of the many things that if people read your book, they're going to get that it starts from the inside and there is enough. And if we all come together through the connection of currency, that there is life, for example, on the other side of the COVID-19 virus.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to say thank you so sincerely for sharing that. And once again, you know, when we set a good intention, and not only you set a good intention, but it's really deep intention in order to get to the core of the message, because in the book, there's many layers. There's so many layers in the book.
So many layers.
There's many layers in the book, and each person will get something different. Each person will get something entirely different at different stage of their life.
Yes.
Because so we all go through life, and we will all be challenged differently. We will all feel differently at different days, time, months, years of our life. And so that's why many readers say they come back and read it again and again, because each time they read it, they see a different story, a different layers, a different message. But you have got so much out of the book. I just want to congratulate you for that. And I want to say thank you again for sharing this, because it gives such an insight to the future readers who might not see all of this, or even someone who read it before now can see your point of view, can see from your perspective, and the insights that you've got that would inspire them to reread it again. Because I have readers sent to me, message me, say, I'm reading it for the third time, and each time I read it, I see something different. But now when they hear what you share now, it will inspire them to actually read it once again and see something completely different again, because there's so many layers in the book. And
it's so true, Linda. And every time you pick it up, this book is a reach away on my desk, so that every day, if I need to, I can pick it up. Here's one more great example. Self-love is infinite love. We must have self-love before we can love others. Linda, this is so true. This is what I'm speaking about. And I'm going to use a lot of the references of today because I think it's so important to discuss for how people can get grounded and how people can focus to get beyond the seeming treacherousness of the time we're going through, whether it be because of hoarders, whether it be because of the frightening aspects of getting sick or dying with the disease, or losing everything because you can't make money, because you've been furloughed, because your business has gone under. So these are scary times. But once again, if we turn back to the source, self-love is infinite love. We must have self-love before we can love others. The more you love yourself, Linda, what happens? It makes it so much easier to love other people. I don't have the anger. I don't have the divisiveness. I don't have the hatred that so many people have. You know, in the United States, we're going through this really turbulent time, Linda, where you're a woman, I'm a man. You're old, I'm young. You're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. You're sick, I'm not sick. It's really remarkable. I was out on the boardwalk, beautiful 16-mile one-way journey through nature where you have wetlands and you see beaver and owl and deer and all kinds of beautiful animals in this highly tranquil area. People, when they saw me walking, it was like, you can't believe the looks of, oh my God, there's a person here. I might get sick and die. I mean, two people
Yes.
on a walk of 4 to 6 miles engaged me and made eye contact and gave me a gentle smile. Normally, when I walk on that boardwalk, everybody's, hey, how are you? Good to see you. Have a great walk. People are terrified right now. And so if you read a book like yours and you turn inward, as you say here on page 105, we need to turn inwards and tune into ourselves in order to access our strength and happiness. This is a time where we need what? We need self-love. We need to turn inwardly so that we can recognize our strength. And in recognizing our strength, we become happy again. When you sense that you're out of control, Linda, when you don't feel powerful, when you don't have a sense of orientation, a sense of grounding, life can be terrifying. And so I'm meeting people who are so paralyzed still, 6-8 weeks out in this thing, they can't function. They can't get out of their house. They can't work. And so, to begin to connect with this, and then as you go through the book, of course, you explain what this means and how you can begin to get that inner strength. The next page reads, if you cannot be any other kind of expert, be an expert about yourself. Know thyself, know your limitations. One of the pieces of advice I gave yesterday was, listen, you don't have to be angry that the governor's opening up the state. The governor's not saying you have to go out. You have to open up your business. Do what's ever right for you. And when you know yourself, you know what's right and wrong for you and your family. And so there isn't this need for all the tumultuous, chaotic, spiteful energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. When we turn inwards, we immediately find the inner strength and the inner peace. Rather than, keep looking outwards, all you hear is noise that causes more confusion, causes more anxiety, and it just keeps spiraling downwards. But if we could just, center ourselves and turn inwards, it's completely different direction. That's when you spiral upwards rather than downwards.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I want to say thank you for sharing that. That's just, you really share really core, powerful messages. So it sounds like the whole book really speaks to you, but is there one particular one that speaks to you most?
Well, once again, the title. The title's what sold the deal for me.
Right.
When I read the title, what I do in life, one of the reasons I am a very happy person, I'm a very connected person, and I love my life so much. Wouldn't trade my life for anything, even though I've had cancer twice, even though I've broken my back in 4 to 6 places. I've had all kinds of things that would suggest a lack of potential happiness. And I look at life very differently than many people, Linda. I look at life from these are all things that I apparently needed to graduate, if you will, to the next level so that I could know myself better, so I could be more resourceful, not only for myself and my family, but for my community and the world. I have a show, as you know, Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash, that gets all over the world. I have people now connecting with me from South America, from the Middle East, from Russia, from Africa, from Europe. And this is all because I decided one day that I wanted to be in service. And I thought, well, I like to talk. Why don't I create a radio show? And now I get out everywhere. Yeah. And so I meet amazing people like you, right? And so and by the way, I have to laugh and I have to finish one thing before I even finish this up. I turned a few pages And what does it say? Connecting with nature is the quickest way that leads us to achieve inner peace. What did I say? I went out to the boardwalk and I walked for miles on a day just like today. It's raining here in Georgia, and I thought it'd be quiet on the boardwalk. And when I came back, I was in like such a Zen place. I was in such a place of peace. I felt so self-honoring because I did what I needed to center myself, so that now I was the voice of reason again. Now I was the voice of what? Of connecting with other people again.
It's
Right? So
incredible because you're such a connected person, such a connected individual, and such a, content, happy person, and yet you still get so much out of the book. And so, it's really amazing when we set a great intention, isn't it? Because you set that
yes,
great
yes.
intention, that commitment and that sincerity is there. And so therefore, even though you're so connected, you're already a happy person and so knowledgeable, and yet you still get so much out of the book. So I want to once again congratulate you for that, and once again
Thank
to
you so much,
thank
Linda.
you for sharing that.
Well,
If you, oh, sorry, you go.
I just wanted to say, Linda, that the title, sometimes in life, and I encourage everybody who reads your book, I encourage everybody who knows you, who knows me, and who's getting to see this wonderful, loving exchange between us, where we are so connected, to get that once again, it all starts with your connection to yourself. And when I read your book, it wasn't just about connection, the currency of happiness, to others. I realized that the connection to myself, it just, when you're looking for, I believe strongly in God, and when you're looking for these clues that God gives us every single day if we're paying attention, your book was a major clue for me. The idea of not only being connected to others, Linda, but having that self-connection, reminding myself to connect deeply, profoundly with myself so that I could be present to connect lovingly, intimately, and deeply with those around me. So really
Yes.
the number one point for me was the very title itself, and exploring the notion of connection, the currency to happiness, and everything you had that developed that central theme.
Wow. I really am so deeply, deeply appreciative and happy that you got so much out of the book. And, initially I wrote it only for my children. So that's why it's quite personal. But it was through three tragedy stories,
Right.
that had me to share with the world. And so I want to make sure that, everyone gets the message that you do, or even more, but you've got so much out of it. And I want to really, really say thank you for sharing such depth, such an insight
You're
to
so
what you
welcome, Linda.
see, because I feel as if you really understood everything I wrote in there. And yeah, I can't say thank you enough. But if the viewers are watching and get curious, because you share so much insight, was there any time that got you into action to do something? Because you already do the walk yourself, you're already connected with nature yourself, and you're already pretty happy and connected person. Was there any time or any message that got you into action? Like, of course, the biggest action is reading the whole book in
I
three
was going to say
settings.
that's the biggest action, was
Right.
that I was so taken uh, by the title and by your beautiful picture. You looked so clear, you looked so content, you looked so happy that I thought I want what she has. And so I saw your picture and I read the title and I went, I'm in action right now. And it's funny because it looks like you're almost wearing the same outfit right now that that you see in the picture. And so the biggest thing is, if you want to be successful in life, don't be a victim to life. Do not be a victim to life. I went from being an extremely powerful man, able to do 3.5 times or more my body weight in a deadlift, meaning I could pick up 3.5 to 4 times my body weight in a lift. And then suddenly the next day I couldn't put my pants on or tie my shoes because I'd broken my back. And it took me 14 years to be able to really begin to function at a quote unquote normal level. So, you always want to look at, here's where I am right now. Let's have an intimate connection with myself. I'm very real with myself. If I get angry, I'm angry. And I deal with that because anger, we grow up in a world where it's not okay to be angry. Sweetheart, stop being angry. Stop expressing as an angry person. That's not okay. It is okay. We have a lot of feelings right now that are very, very intense. Your book is a great guide to teach you how to be present with those things that come up. And there are a lot of people right now who are frustrated. They're anxious. They're depressed. They don't know what to do or where to go. And the answer is always turn inwardly. Note the conversation, Linda, that you're having with yourself. Because if you don't turn inwardly, what's going on with you will be expressed outwardly. And so if you're really angry, for example, with yourself or at something, and you don't handle it, what are you going to do? You're going to be one more person that's angry in the world. And you're going to vomit all over everybody who comes down the pike. You know, I've seen some people get horrible in supermarkets and out in public because they're so angry at what they can't control. Well, you can't control this pandemic. It is what it is. It's here. It'll be here for some period of time. And if you don't develop an inner understanding, an inner peace, an inner self-love, then you don't understand that, hey, I get it. I've had moments where I was angry like that guy too. But when you do get that, you can relate to it so you can be forgiving. If you don't understand that you too have great anger, great frustration at times, and sometimes great joy, that we have all these feelings and what to do with them, how to process them, then you go awkwardly or possibly destructively into the world. And so the world becomes a victim of you not handling your own needs, your own emotions, your own circumstances. And so it's very, very important. And one of the things that your book does so beautifully is it really makes us go back and focus on the inside job of that, hey, happiness isn't about external factors. It's nice to get, as I mentioned, a new car. It's nice to get, to go on a nice vacation. It's nice to get a beautiful new outfit. But ultimately, these are little things compared to the love and the beauty one gives as a gift to oneself, so that you can be happy in the world. Because I'm a really simple man. If you ever met my lovely wife, she'd say my husband could talk to a wall for 4 hours at the end while I'm shopping. Thank the wall for being such a wonderful, attentive listener. Smile and walk away.
That is so cute to hear.
It's the truth.
You'll never be lonely then, because then you can just talk to the wall. You'll never be lonely. But once again, I
I'm
want to
my
say,
own best friend.
exactly. So once again, you just shared two powerful things there. And one of it is that I share in the book that we need to honor our feelings and our emotions
Yes.
in order to
Yes.
manage it. You know, it's not so much about pretending or suppressing
Right.
or
Right.
ignoring it, but it's a lot to do with, okay, this is what I'm feeling now. You know, I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling upset. And to actually recognize those emotions in order to manage it. So I want to say thank you for that. And also, we just have the giggle. We just mentioned that you'll never be lonely. The other thing is that, you know, being alone and being lonely is completely different thing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
once you become self-connected, you will never be lonely.
Be lonely. So profound and so true. I'm, it's so funny. Everybody laughs when I say this, but the truth is I am very, very introverted. I can express in the world to connect to people as an extrovert. But the truth is most of the time I'm away from the world in the sanctuary, for example, of my office or my desk here. And, I'm reading, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm transforming. I love my quiet, peaceful, what I call Nelson time. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to the office where I'll be all by myself, sitting at my desk, preparing for a talk that I'm going to have. I'm going to present some interesting information about viruses to a group of doctors that will probably be, I'm guessing, from online from all over the United States, maybe even outside of the United States. And so I'm going to go for a number of hours and just sit peacefully and go over information and get my thoughts collected. And I love that time. That's inspired time for me. That's highly coveted time because it's self-preservation time. It's self-love time. It's time where I can process my emotions. I can process my feelings. I can process my sense of understanding or lack of understanding about what's going on in the world. And I can always come back to the center point of who I really am and then go into the world accordingly.
Yeah. And that is so powerful. We all need those kind of timing. And just because we want quiet time, it doesn't mean that we are introvert as such. So in the book, I try to explain the real, from my perspective, the real meaning of introvert and extrovert as well. You really have got so much out of the book and share so much. I want to say thank you so much. We really could talk all day long, but because you got conferences to attend to, I won't hold you any longer. And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your insights and your amazing thoughts. And I want to congratulate you for getting to where you are now, because after 14 years of not being able to function normal, it's a long time.
It's a long time to be in pain.
It's a long time. So I want to say thank you, and congratulations sincerely. And that is so precious that you're now able to continue to do your work, to benefit so many other people, to share your knowledge in chiropractic work, and also your show to invite all the experts in health, that health matters. So I want to say thank you again for making time to come on to share this. This is just a little project that I feel inspired to do. I just want to inspire more joy, more hope, more happiness, more turn inward. I just want to share with people, with everybody during this critical time, we all can still find happiness if we all just turn inward. And that's really ultimately what I like to share. So I want to say thank you again. I really appreciate you. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to all our viewers. I really appreciate your time for tuning in to be with us, to connect with us. I hope that Dr. Bulmash have excused my pronunciation.